In solo leveling, it took 2 days for the guilds to eliminate all of the ants. The insects had traveled so far that they even reached the mainland of China. After enduring 2 days of exhaustion and lack of sleep, the hunters found themselves facing a second wave of ants approaching. One of the men requested permission to open fire, but the captain refused, explaining that a particular hunter intended to handle them all at once. This hunter, observing the sheer number of ants, casually remarked on it before telling them to rest in peace in the ocean. With a single slash of his blade, he obliterated the ants mid-air, causing them to explode. Watching the remnants fall, he lamented that if the stronger ants that battled Sung Jin-woo were still alive, it would have made things more thrilling, calling it unfortunate as fragments of the insects rained down into the sea. Meanwhile, in the United States, a woman inquired about the situation. A man responded that the only link between Hwang Dong-soo and Sung Jin-woo was the possibility that Jin-woo had eliminated Dong-soo's older brother. He further explained that Dong-soo was now determined to take revenge. The man asked if that was the official conclusion, and the woman confirmed it. The man was revealed to be Thomas Andre, the guild master of the Scavenger Guild. He expressed concern that under these circumstances, it would be much harder to meet Jin-woo, calling it a pity. The woman, whose name was Laura, asked what he would do if they ended up in a confrontation. Thomas, exuding confidence, asked if she still didn't understand his nature. Declaring that Hwang belonged to the Scavenger Guild and that the Scavenger Guild was his, he crushed the TV remote in his grip. He then declared that he would never forgive anyone who dared to lay a hand on what was his, even if it were the American government. On the third night of the JEJU raid, the military and representatives from the Knights Guild arrived on JEJU Island to gather the remaining magic crystals as a precaution. While working, Park Jong-soo shared a story about a man who had incredibly bad luck. This man had always worked hard, aspiring to become a gold medalist. He trained relentlessly, lost weight to compete in a lower weight class, and endured grueling preparations, all in pursuit of his dream. Finally, he was on the verge of achieving it. His doping test came back clean, he had no nightmares the night before, and he was in peak condition. However, at the last moment, he unexpectedly awakened as a hunter. Because of this, he was detected by the magic meter and was immediately disqualified from competing. That unfortunate man was none other than Park Jong-soo himself. As they continued collecting crystals, a lone ant appeared, but the leader of the Knights Guild swiftly eliminated it. Jong-soo reassured everyone that even if there were a few leftover ants, the guild was more than capable of handling them. Just then, his second-in-command called out to him in alarm, and the military let out a gasp. Someone was emerging from the shadows. Startled, Jong-soo demanded the figure identify itself, as only the association and soldiers were supposed to be on the island. The hunters speculated that it might be another hunter, while the military threatened to shoot if the figure didn't comply. Then, to everyone's shock, the figure spoke in an eerie, monstrous language. Park Jong-soo stood frozen. Suddenly, a sharp snap of fingers echoed through the cave, and in an instant, all the hunters, soldiers, and others present collapsed, unconscious. A beast-like creature addressed a blue-skinned monster, questioning its actions. The blue monster casually responded that there was no need to cause a commotion and that he had merely put them to sleep. The blue creature then asked if the beast checked. The beast assured him that it was his power. He remarked that something about the situation felt off and wondered why the he was even aiding humans. The beast sniffed the air and sneered, commenting that it reeked of decayed insects. He then mentioned that if she had been here, she would have been terrified. The blue-skinned creature, referred to as the Blue Monster, stated that the hunt would continue as planned and opened a portal. However, before stepping through, the beast-like monster noted that there was something, or someone, else present and asked if they should eliminate it. The Blue Grandpa refused, saying he wanted no further involvement. The beast scoffed, calling him a coward, before slashing open his own portal and stepping through. After the Jeju Island raid and solo leveling, discussions and debates erupted everywhere. This raid marked Jin Woo's first official mission as an S-rank hunter. However, despite his achievements, he couldn't completely escape criticism for joining the battle later than expected. While some people supported him, many others remained skeptical, as lives had been lost during the raid. As Jin Woo walks back, Baek Yoon-ho approaches him, admitting that he never believed a single hunter could turn the tide of war on their own. However, after witnessing Jin Woo's feats, he starts to reconsider his stance. Baek encourages Jin Woo to stand tall, reminding him that he was the one who ended this grim chapter. Meanwhile, Jin Woo briefly makes eye contact with Hunter Cha Hai-in, but she quickly looks away, blushing, an action that momentarily catches him off guard. A total of 4,801 hunters participated in the Jeju Island raid. Among them, 727 were merely ordinary awakened individuals. Sadly, 64 hunters and 32 civilians perished in the battle. Later, Jin Woo meets with Chairman Go Gun-hee, who asks if he intends to establish a guild. He informs Jin Woo that as an S-rank hunter, he does not require a guild master permit. He only needs to inform the association. Jin Woo confirms his interest, thinking to himself that he should take the time to fully understand the privileges of being an S-rank hunter. However, before he can continue the conversation, the chairman suddenly asks if he placed some sort of barrier over Jeju Island. This question surprises Jin Woo, but Gun-hee elaborates, explaining that people who ventured to collect magic crystals and clear out the remaining ants mysteriously lost consciousness. Jin Woo denies having done anything like that and asks what the victims recalled after waking up. Gun-hee explains that they had no memory of what happened before they passed out and could not determine if they were attacked by magic. One of the chairman's staff members interrupts, informing him that a guest has arrived earlier than expected. Chairman thanks Jin Woo for his time and excuses himself. Jin Woo, deciding he should leave as well, heads toward his vehicle. As he approaches his car, a man stops him and asks if he is Sung Jin Woo. Introducing himself as Senior Agent Adam White from the United States Bureau of Hunters, the man explains that he previously attempted to visit Jin Woo's office but couldn't find him, so he had no choice but to come to the funeral. This reminds Jin Woo of what Yoo Jin-ho had mentioned earlier about a foreigner searching for him. He asks Adam why he is so eager to meet, and Adam responds that he has vital information to share, something no other country or organization would provide. Jin Woo questions why Adam is willing to reveal such exclusive details, and the agent replies that sharing certain information with select individuals benefits them as well. Adam then adds that he was not originally supposed to meet Jin Woo alone. The deputy director, having been deeply impressed by the Jeju raid, wishes to meet him in person. He informs Jin Woo that a car is waiting nearby and asks if he would like to join him. Jin Woo declines the offer and prepares to enter his car. He tells Adam that he is unsure whether the information is credible and that he will think it over before making a decision. However, before Jin Woo can leave, Adam smirks and says, "I almost forgot. In negotiations, if you hold a strong card, sometimes it's best not to keep it hidden." He then utters a single word, "Upgrader." He asks if Jin Woo has ever heard of an awakener with the ability to enhance another awakener's powers. Intrigued, Jin Woo agrees to travel to the United States, where he finally meets the deputy director, Michael Connor, with Adam White acting as his translator. Without hesitation, Michael places immigration papers on the table, explaining that while it usually takes years to process such documentation, for Jin Woo, it could be completed in an instant, if he simply agrees. Unshaken, Jin Woo reminds them that he came because Adam promised him valuable information. He asks if it is truly possible to strengthen an awakener's abilities. Smirking, Michael replies that the individual with this rare ability is already present. He then instructs his agents to escort Mrs. Sellner into the room, marking the conclusion of one arc and the beginning of another. Mrs. Norma Sellner steps into the room as Michael Connor introduces her to Jin Woo, describing her as the only person in the world capable of pushing hunters beyond their natural power limit. Immediately, Jinwoo senses that her presence is different from that of other awakeners. Michael then urges Norma to elaborate on her abilities, and she warns Jinwoo that, like many before him, he might be skeptical at first. However, once hunters experience her power, they inevitably become dependent on it. Norma begins by reviewing basic hunter knowledge with Jinwoo, explaining that all awakeners possess a ceiling to their growth, and no one can surpass it unless they undergo reawakening. However, she possesses a unique ability that allows hunters to break through their limits through a three-stage process. She is uncertain whether to classify it as forced reawakening or simply enhancing one's potential. Michael reassures Jinwoo that her ability is genuine, but due to the immense strain it puts on Norma, only a handful of hunters can undergo the process each year. Jinwoo, ever the strategist, inquires about the effectiveness of her ability. Norma explains that the results vary depending on the individual, but after reaching the third stage, hunters can potentially grow 20 to 30% stronger. Hearing this, Jinwoo understands why hunter Hwang Dong-soo relocated to America despite facing criticism. Who could turn down such an opportunity? He also realizes that if this ability were to become widely known, it could create global turmoil. Michael explains that this is precisely why Mrs. Sellner remains under their protection. They ensure her safety and compensate her generously in exchange for selectively enhancing the hunters they choose. The deputy director then clarifies that her ability is a gift they are offering Jinwoo. However, Jinwoo sees through their intentions and remarks that it sounds more like a transaction than a gift. Michael concedes that if Jinwoo were to join the United States as a hunter, they would ensure he receives the best possible terms and benefits, even negotiating with the guild of his choosing. Norma gently places her hand on the table, reassuring Jinwoo that there is no urgency and that they are merely offering him a preview of her power. Jinwoo questions her, but she insists that it is indeed a gift. Michael then asks if Jinwoo is willing to unlock his potential at no cost. At that moment, Jinwoo recalls her earlier claim that once he experiences it, he will never want to let go. This suggests she has absolute confidence in her ability. Norma then takes Jinwoo's hands, instructing him to look into her eyes. As she initiates the first stage of her process, the deputy director smirks, convinced that Jinwoo has already taken the bait. He assumes that once Jinwoo undergoes the first stage, he will inevitably return for more. The director reflects on Jinwoo's remarkable feat of clearing the Jeju Island raid with an unprecedented power, something even Ryuji Goto, a hunter aspiring to reach national level, had failed to accomplish. He begins to wonder just how far Jinwoo's strength can go. However, as Norma delves into Jinwoo's essence, she is suddenly overwhelmed. Within the depths of his power, she finds herself engulfed in an abyss of infinite darkness. Looking around, she sees a face. To her horror, the face abruptly turns and locks eyes with her. Shocked, she snaps back to reality, screaming in terror. The guards immediately raise their weapons at Jinwoo, demanding to know what he has done to her. However, Michael swiftly orders them to stand down, calling them fools and reminding them of whom they are dealing with. He instructs them to tend to Mrs. Sellner if they are so concerned. Jinwoo remains seated, stunned by the sudden outburst, while the deputy director sternly warns the guards that if it had been Thomas Andre or Liu Jigang in Jinwoo's place, they would all be dead by now. Michael turns to Norma and asks what happened, but she is too shaken to respond. He then informs Jinwoo that Mrs. Sellner is not feeling well today and suggests they reach out to him another time. He instructs Adam to escort Jinwoo back home. After Jinwoo leaves, Michael demands an explanation from Norma. Trembling, she finally speaks. Jinwoo is a very powerful king. Michael is visibly shocked by this statement. He asks if that means Jinwoo is comparable to the national-level hunters, but Norma shakes her head uncertain. She admits that she has never encountered anything like this before. Jinwoo is indeed a king, but not like the others. She explains that when she looked into him, he was also looking back at her. Still trembling, she reveals her most terrifying realization. What she saw wasn't Sung Jin-woo himself, but rather the boundless darkness within him. Finally, she stammers her chilling conclusion: he does not have a limit.